if there's no Laramie Tunsil, which there's no way he's going to play Friday without practicing in pads at all to this point. So there's no Laramie Tunsil. And if this injury to Titus Howard ends up being something that forces him to miss camp time and forces him to miss Friday's game, you're down your 2 starting tackles. You've got a rookie in Blake Fisher that's got a lot of run, and then you've got a handful of journeyman tackles below him that may or may not make the cut.
Including one who just arrived.
Yeah. Cam Irving, is that right?
Cam Irving just arrived.
Which he's bounced around the league. I'm not sure exactly how much he started and how much quality play he has, but he's bounced around the league for 9 years, so he clearly has a little something to him. But Ron, I don't think that this in any way, shape, or form is gonna impact the decision of whether C.J. Stroud plays Friday or not. But I do think it's something that's going to need to be schemed around, planned around, and in C.J. Stroud's head, damn sure taken into account as they do go out there and get a little bit of run.
Yeah, to me, I think it's a fair thing. If there is a thought in your mind and you're a Texans fan and it is this important, which this season is this important, you feel like you got a chance to go to a place you've never been, the AFC Championship game, maybe the Super Bowl, and your thought is, hey, Titus ain't playing, Laramie ain't playing, CJ ain't playing in preseason games, I think that's very fair and not crazy at all. And there may be people who say, oh, they're wusses, whatever. Now, I can understand that if you are saying, I don't want a rookie in Blake Fisher who has been getting taken advantage of and struggling a bit at times, facing some of the guys they're facing, to potentially face, T.J. Watt for a couple of go-arounds or Highsmith for a couple of go-arounds, and even more, either a Cam Irving who just arrived in practice for the first time on Monday, or Sharp, who is a journeyman young guy that may not make the team. I can understand if your thoughts are, I don't want those guys to be the starting tackles if CJ's there. My thinking is, where I would go with you, Clint, is, hell, I think they're going to probably have to be prepared for CJ to have to run into games where he is having Blake Fisher as a tackle, where they may not have Laramie, where they may not have Titus Howard, especially if it's anything close to what last year, where they had so many injuries up front. And I do think it is important for those two guys in Juice Scruggs and Kenyon Green to get reps, real reps, in-game reps with C.J. Stroud as well. So to me, if your thought process wasn't off the top, like I think the Jets are, that Aaron ain't playing, that CJ wasn't playing. If you thought he was going to play, I still think you get him those reps.
Yeah, look, I don't think it's off the table, like you said. It's not crazy. I wouldn't be mad at them if they said, look, we're not going to put CJ out there right now. I mean, even if they didn't give us a reason, you got to believe that it has a lot to do with no Joe Mixon, no Titus Howard, no Laramie Tunsil. Now, if Titus Howard could very well be back tomorrow and you got Blake Fisher opposite, he's filling in for Laramie Tunsil, which has been the case all camp, right? And so from a standpoint of, forget the fact that he's taken all the reps for Laramie Tunsil, forget the fact that he's a rookie this year, just look at the line that could potentially be in front of C.J. Stroud this Friday. I think everybody's going to be fairly confident in where the offensive line is, with the exception of Blake Fisher. Folks hadn't seen him. Not a whole lot of reports out there. There's some that he's holding his own kind of deal. But nonetheless, Blake Fisher would be at your blindside tackle, would be your one guy that may concern you a bit with C.J. Stroud out there. Here is the most recent report from Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator, on where that swing tackle, former Notre Dame Fighting Irish tackle, Blake Fisher, where he's at right now.
Yeah, he's out there competing, just like the rest of the crew. I think we say it endlessly, but, we really preach that to the whole group, just tirelessly. That's what this is about. It's about going out and every day growing and getting better than you were the day before. And by the time week one rolls around, we know we're going to be ready. But in the meantime, all we can do is get better every day. And Blake has done that. In pass pro, he particularly has made some technique adjustments that have helped him for sure. The rushers he's going against have helped him. I know he's had a lot of conversations with them on what they're thinking, what they're doing, and talking to other old linemen has obviously helped him. And then the run game for us is just very different than where he came from college, but he's been doing a good job. He's bought in, and really right now I'd say he's probably a little further ahead in the run game than the pass game. But you just got to put his head down and keep growing.
Well, there's you, and that's a great transition there because I do want to talk about the run game. There's your report on Blake Fisher. It seems like they're happy with his growth, not huge expectations for the rookie, but they're comfortable with him being in there, obviously. Look, last week the quarterback, especially Davis Mills, had plenty of room to operate. I think there was one blown assignment, obviously, where a defensive end or a linebacker came free, but with the exception of that, Davis Mills had more than enough room to operate. Now, imagine you're going to see some of the Pittsburgh Steelers starters, so maybe a little different chaos up front for the quarterback to deal with and the offensive line to deal with. But nonetheless, I do believe, Ron, if this week, being the first time that C.J. Stroud is out there, being how important it is that interior offensive line gets some work, being how important it is that we see who Dameon Pierce is. D'Amico Ryans was on with, I think it was Good Morning Football guys or some of the NFL Network guys yesterday, and boy, he was gushing about Dameon Pierce and about how excited he is to see him play and this week and get some run. And so, regardless of what happens at the tackle position, I believe that there's going to be a focus on running the football and getting downhill, running the football this week with more starters playing. Here's Bobby Slowick on that the running back room, and I think the first three guys he talks about here is got the potential to really turn me on if things work, if the stars align for this group. Here's Bobby Slowick.
Yeah, it's a fun group to coach. Joe kind of leads the way. Even though he hasn't been practicing, his energy's always there. He's always around. He's even when we're on the field, he's running around the huddle, getting people hyped up. So he's the driving force for sure. And then the rest of the crew kind of feeds off that. Damien's feeding off that. He's putting his head down, working. He's made huge strides from where he was at last year and what he's growing in and what he's trying to do. Cam is obviously the newest to the crew, but he's been running a lot of very similar stuff in LA for a long time, and then in Minnesota it was pretty similar as well. So it's not completely new to him, and he picked it up quick. You can see the talent and the vision and the cutting ability, which is impressive coming off the 2 injuries he had. So he's been fun.
No question, Ron. If you're
newest to the crew, baby.
Come on, man. If you're a Texans fan, and look, this may be a pipe dream because there's a lot of ifs here, but clearly, you just listen to that piece of audio right there. Clearly, there ain't nothing wrong with Joe Mixon. He's running around being the hype guy.
Like
if it was a quad or a hip, whatever it was, they damn sure ain't worried about it at this point. Dameon Pierce, that's the second coach talking about the progress that Dameon Pierce has made and how tremendous it is. And, they're putting their word on it. And then you look at Cam Akers and all of a sudden vision, make you miss ability, cut ability, whatever the hell it was that Bobby said there, knows the offense. Man, that running back room right there. Now, there's some other guys there, obviously. I feel bad leaving Dare Ogunbowale out because he's been around for a while, and I saw his sister just flat out ball in the WNBA All-Star game. But nonetheless,
Is that his sister?
Are you giving me a serious question?
I didn't know that was his sister.
Absolutely, it's his sister.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I knew his sister. I knew his sister was in the league. I had no idea that.
I did not know that was his sister.
That's her, Chief.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, she can go. But that running back room as a Texans fan, Ron, assuming everybody can stay healthy, or hell, even if they don't, you need to spell each other a little bit. You got those 3 guys as your top 3 choices. That can get you good and worked up.
No, it should be better. Like we talked about it. How are they going to improve from what it was with basically at the end of the year, Devin Singletary and whatever they used Dameon Pierce as, whatever he was, which was just non-usable. How much will they improve this year? And when you think about Joe Mixon, even though we haven't seen him, if you judge by how they're talking about him, he seems to be fine. And now that's what I can't wait to see. Y'all, a lot of people have talked about. That's what I thought we was going to see on Thursday was Dameon Pierce. Does he look different as a back? Does he seem to have picked up whatever he wasn't picking up more fluently And then I think we saw pretty good play from the backs in the Hall of Fame game that did play last week. So that should be, I'll be honest, it may be one of the more improved rooms from last year to this year on the team, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like with Mixon, and if Dameon Pierce is completely turned himself like they're
I mean, what room on this football team would even be close? I mean, you look at, now that you say it, I hadn't thought much about it like that, but Joe Mixon is a clear upgrade from your number one, Devin Singletary. I mean, I don't know who that was a couple weeks ago that said they'd rather have Singletary, but than Sweat or something like that. But whatever, clear, huge jump in the right direction with Mixon. If Dameon Pierce
who ended up was the backup last year, but that version of Dameon Pierce has to be completely different.
Yeah, I mean, look, you get 2022 Dameon Pierce, he's better than Devin Singletary last year. And then all of a sudden, Cam Akers, you get a healthy Cam Akers, that's your number 3 guy. Ooh, look out now. So yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, Dare was kicking more than he was.
It was the highlight of his year, baby.
He was running.